Alright, for the first problem, we have probability of x between 35 and a included is 0.25. So we have to do the picture. The picture would look like this. I have the middle, which is 45, the mean. Then I have the numbers 35, which is here. And then you have an option where you're gonna put a. If you're gonna put it here or here, and it's clear that you're gonna put it here, and the reason is because this area has to be 0.25. So this is A. We already know that here I have 0.25. Okay, so the next thing we're going to find, the way to do this problem is we need to find this area, and this area is probability of x less or equal than 35. So we will use the calculator to do this. Distribution, we have normal CDF, we have negative 999, or in this case it's already the way it is, and the upper limit is 35, the mean is 45, the standard deviation is 8, and this is our answer. I'm going to add to this number the 0.25 that we had before, 0.25 to this number. So we know that this area here, so now we are aware that this area here is 0.356, etc. So that's how we're gonna do it in this situation. So we're looking for, and we will use the probability that probability that x is less or equal than a is that number 0.356, and that with inverse norm will give us the second distribution, inverse norm. We know that the area is the answer we just had before, so I'm just going to put my answer that I just found. I know that the mean is 45, the standard deviation is 8, and I'm looking for the left area, and that's my answer. And in three significant figures, that can easily be turned to 42.0, and it makes sense because it's to the left of 45, and that's the answer for this one. Okay, for problem B now, I'm going to do again my picture. So this is my picture for my graph here, I'm gonna put the middle, that is again 45. Now I'm going to put the number 50. Number 50 is going to be here, and because I have the equal sign, it's going to be continuous. And now I have the question, where am I going to put A? Is it going to be here or here? I don't really know yet, so but what I know is this. I'm going to calculate this area here. So let's calculate this area. This area is the probability of x greater or equal than 50, or greater than 50, makes no difference. So let's do this on the calculator. It's normal CDF, and we start at 50 and go the right side. It's going to be 9999999. 45 is the mean, and the standard deviation is 8, and we find that this area is 0.26. I'm going to add to this number 0.15, and you will see why. I have this number now, and if I add, which I did, 0.15, if I add to this number 0.15, I get the number we had before, the 0.4159, etc., which is smaller than 0.5, which means that all this, it means that if I add this thing together with this thing, it has to be less than 0.5, so that means that alpha has to be there, or A has to be there. So since we know that this is 0.15 and this is 0. About 27, alpha has to be here because it has to be less than, the whole thing has to be less than 50. So let me actually make this clear. This whole part here is 0.4159. So now the last part is the following, that the probability that x is greater or equal than a, we know that it's this number 0.4159, etc. So finding this is just an inverse norm with a calculator. Variables inverse norm. The inverse norm is the answer that I just got before. This answer that I got before. The mean is 45. The standard deviation is 8. But now I have the right side, and this is my answer. Okay, and in 3 significant that becomes 46. Oops, it becomes 46.7, and that makes sense, which is to the right of 45. Okay, for part C, again I'm going to do my curve. Okay, we know that the center is 45 as before. Now we know that the number 54 is there, it's continuous, and we know that this number between A and 54 is 0.6, so we already know that this is more than 50, so A has to be here. So this is this area, and as before we're going to find this area, this is the area of probability of x greater or equal than 54, and I'm going to do this with a calculator. CDF, and we go from 54 to 99999. This is 45, this is 8, and we get this number, and then we're going to add to this number 0.6. Okay, for the next one, we're gonna do a picture. This is our graph, and let's see what we have. We have that the mean is 35, standard deviation is 8, so let's write this down. So x is normally distributed with 35 and 8. Okay. And let's see. The fisheries department has decided that the smallest 10% of the fish are not to be harvested. Okay, so the smallest 10% of the fish are not to be harvested, so we are going here, and basically what we have the following, that this is going to be our K, and we know that this is the smallest 10%, so 10% or 0.10. So we have that the probability of x less or equal than k is 0.10. So we want to find that k, and that's an inverse norm. We have that the area is 0.10. We know that the center is 35. We know that the standard deviation is 8. And we have the left side. And that's our answer, which is about insignificant 24.7 centimeters. And that's our final answer. Okay, for the next one again, we're going to do the picture. So at the center we're going to have 75, and then we have that 1% of the screws are ejected because they're too long. So basically we're going to go here, this is our K, and this is the 1%. So that's 0.01. That is 1%. Be careful of that. So basically we have probability of X bigger or equal than K is 0.01, and we're using the inverse norm again, and we find that the K is 75.2. Okay, let's see question number 9. So we have the picture. Okay, here we have that the mean was 57. We know that 60% passed, so I'm going to put green for the 60%. So 60% is here. So this green part is 60%. So this is 0.60, and then I'm going to do with yellow the 10% on the top. So this is K. I'm going to call it actually A for an A. This is 10%. And also, just out of argument, I kind of know what that is, even though I haven't started working on the problem. I have 0.6, 0.1, so this is 0.3 for sure. So find the passing mark for A. Let's do that for A. So we know the probability of X greater or equal than A is 0.10. So this is an inverse norm with the right side. So to get an A, you need to get 69.8. So basically I answer question 2 by accident. And now find the passing mark K. That is the passing mark K here. So let me do that part. So the passing mark K says the following, that the probability of X being smaller than K is 0.60%, and again we'll use the inverse norm. So the answer here is the passing mark is 59.5. You have to get a 59.5 to pass. And then for B, check the probability between X and L is 0.5. So basically this is L. Sorry, I copied it wrong, so let's see. So check that probability between K, which is 59.5, less or equal than X, and less or equal than L, which is 69.8, that is 0.5. This is wrong, because the probability between K and A should have been 0.3. So, but I will do it with a calculator also. So instead of 0.3, so that's wrong. So instead of 0.3 that I said here I found 0.32, but this is the error, because I did not use the actual numbers. If I had used 59.5333 and 69.8, I would have gotten 0.3. So this is an error. So for number 10, let's do our picture. The picture is going to look like this. Okay, so the center is 503. And then we have that 1% is rejected because they're underfilled. So I have here the 1% here, so 0.01. I'm going to call this A. And then 2% is rejected because they're overfilled. So here I have B, and this is 2%, so 0.02. So we need to find A and B. So first of all, probability of x less or equal than A is 0.01, and I forgot to write this, that this is 503 and 0.5 squared. So here for A I have to use the inverse norm. Okay, to the nearest centimeter that answer becomes 5 sorry, we want to the one decimal place, so 501.8 milliliters. So this is the left side. And let's talk about B. For B we have probability of x greater than B equals 0.02. So here we're going to do the right side inverse norm, and we get that B is 504.0 milliliters. Okay, and I think you do need the 0 because that's what they were asking. Okay, so the picture for number 11 is going to look like that. Remember, you always need to do the picture. So the mean is 20. We know that her minimum temperature that she goes is 11 degrees, so she doesn't go below 11. And we have K, and then we know this. We know that between 11 and K is 0.95. Alright, so how we're gonna do this? First we're gonna find this situation here. So this is probability of x less than less or equal than 11 equals, so I need to use a calculator to do a normal CDF with lower limit negative 99999 up to 11. So that answer was 0.03593, etc. So that is this is the 0.03, and I'm adding the 95 to it, so I'm adding these two numbers and I get this. So for the K I have to do the following. Let me change color so you can see it. For the K, I'm going to say probability that x is bigger or equal than K is this number, 0.985, etc. So I'm going to do an inverse norm and we're going to find. Be careful here, in 3 significant that becomes 31.0 degrees. That's important. And that finishes this homework.